No bias.
You will respect my authority.
No pulled punches.
Your wife cheated on you because you lost sight of who you are as a man, as a husband.
No agenda.
There is no fear in this dojo.
This is No Hyperbole.
This is the best part of the week.
Here's the maestro, Mike Baum.
I am the smartest man alive.
All right, here we go. Number 5, Insane in the Tumpane. Last Tuesday night at Citi Field in New York, the Mets took on the Marlins in a game that could be circled as one of the reasons why the East was lost. Trailing 6-3 and with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th, Mets second baseman Jeff McNeil reached on an infield single against Marlins reliever Richard Blyer. During the next at-bat to first baseman Pete Alonso, Blyer was called for not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive balks by first base umpire John Tumpane, bringing McNeil around to score. Blyer became the first pitcher since Pirates' Jim Gott in 1988 to be called for 3 balks in 1 inning. In 303 big league appearances before Tuesday, Blyer had never been called for a balk. After the game, Blyer said, "Words cannot describe what happened in that inning. I don't know, it was wild. It's the same move I've been using for 300 innings, and here we are. I watched the video, and I completely disagree." Tumpane called him for not coming to a complete stop. You may remember John Tumpane, who became a full-time Major League Baseball umpire in 2016 for a fateful afternoon in Pittsburgh on June 28, 2017. That afternoon, Tumpane was out taking a stroll when he noticed a woman climbing over a railing above the Allegheny River. Tumpane rushed over and locked both of his arms around the woman's back. He told the woman he cared about her and she would be all right. The woman told Tumpane, quote, "I want to end it. I want to be in a better place." At times, she dangled both feet off the bridge's edge, putting her full weight on Tumpane's arms. But Tumpane prevented her from falling to the river until police and an ambulance arrived and helped lift her back over the railing. Since that day, the Pirates are .330 and .457, a .419 winning percentage. A better place? No. Number 4, Hail Mary challenges. As 689 Cirque du Survivor entries held their breath into the fourth quarter at Lambeau on Sunday, the 10-point favorite Packers were tied at 24 with the New England Patriots. Green Bay faced 3rd and 8 from the Patriots' 40 with just over 2 minutes remaining. Aaron Rodgers connected with Romeo Doubs in the end zone, but Doubs failed to maintain possession of the ball as he hit the ground and the ball touched the ground. The officials correctly ruled the pass incomplete. On the Packers sideline, head coach Matt LaFleur was ruminating over challenging the call. Assistant quarterback coach Connor Lewis had seen the replay and was in LaFleur's headset telling him not to challenge. The situation was obvious. The Packers had to punt to the Patriots, having 2 timeouts. If they force a 3-and-out, the worst-case scenario is they get the ball near midfield with a minute to go. An unsuccessful challenge would mean the Patriots could essentially run out the clock before overtime. And yet, LaFleur challenged. Excuse me. The Packers pinned the Patriots at their own 2. The Patriots ran the ball 3 times and punted back to the Packers with less than 10 seconds remaining. The game headed to overtime, where New England took over at midfield after a Packers punt, but stalled and punted on 4th and 5 from the Packers' 46. 12 plays later, Mason Crosby kicked a 31-yard field goal as overtime expired to give the Packers a 27-24 victory. Why did LaFleur challenge? After the game, he said, "I'm not too proud of that moment. It was an emotional decision, but a great learning lesson. You can never make the emotional decisions in the heat of battle. You know better. You have to survive the Brown." Connor Lewis, he's up in the box. He's in my ear telling me I don't think so. He said we shouldn't challenge. I just made an emotional decision. It was almost like throwing a Hail Mary. That could have came back to bite us in the butt. I'd rather learn from that being on this side. Thank God our guys bailed me out. Definitely my worst decision of the day. Maybe Matt LaFleur should worry more about trusting his coaches and making rational decisions than firing up the Packer fans and being their head cheerleader. His offense looked lost for most of the day against the Patriots defense that gave up 37 to the Ravens. Number 3, PJ rowed the boat aground. I've given Minnesota's PJ Fleck credit for being the best game manager in football, not just in college football, but the NFL as well. The game in Minneapolis on Saturday against Purdue has me questioning my assertion. Let's start out with the very first thing about that game that troubled me. a game that I cashed an under 52 ticket on. 21st ranked Minnesota was a 12-point favorite throughout the week. When it was announced on Friday that Boilers quarterback Aiden O'Connell would return to the lineup after a one-game absence, the line dropped to 9.5. At no point during the week did anyone out of the Minnesota camp, or anyone else for that matter, suggest that Gophers tailback Mohamed Ibrahim would not be available to play in the game after suffering a very minor ankle injury the week before. He was listed on no injury reports. Flex said after the game, Mo was close to going. I thought he might go, but we're always going to be on the safe side with our players. Now on to the game. Trailing 7-0 with 3:45 remaining in the first quarter, Minnesota faced 4th and 1 from their own 29-yard line. Fleck decided to go for it and brought in backup quarterback Cole Kramer to try to make the line to gain. It didn't happen as Kramer was pushed back and the Gophers took over in field goal range. They tacked on 3 more points to take a 10-0 lead and would win the game 20-10. Fleck said after the game, quote, I felt like we needed to do something. It only cost us 3 points, but it was worth it. I would do it again. We have to be able to get 4th and 1. We have to get something moving. What? So what if you make it? You have 1st down and 10 on your own 30. How is that momentum? The reward to risk profile just isn't there. I need to revise my previous statement. Fleck may be the best game manager with a lead. He is brilliant at taking the clock down to nothing in the fourth quarter by calling a disciplined game and using every second of the play clock. But when he isn't on the choo-choo, it's a whole different ball game. That is the reason why he's 2-19 when his teams trail at halftime.
Oh.
Number 2, Houston, we have a problem. Friday night, the Tulane Green Wave took on the University of Houston Cougars in Texas. Even though Tulane was on its third-string quarterback, the game went to overtime tied at 21. Houston won the toss and elected to go on offense. The Cougars gained 7 yards on 3 plays and facing 4th and 3 from the 18, kicked a 36-yard field goal. Tulane took 3 plays to get into the end zone and won the game 27-24. Why would Houston coach Dana Holgorsen elect to go on offense first in overtime? Well, let's listen to him explain.
We went back over the last 6 years, and over the last 6 years, 54% of the teams that had the ball first won. Okay, over the last 3 years, 56% of the teams that had the ball first won. I think that's enough to move the needle. You know, so everybody's like, well, you can't do that. Well, what do you mean you can't do that? They give us an option to be able to do it, so the analytics say do it. I'm not worried about the perception of not doing what you're supposed to do. Unconventional ways of doing things give you better odds of being able to be successful. I'm going to do it, and if there's criticism involved in it, then I don't care.
To refute Holgorsen's logic, I'd like to call on Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, explaining why he didn't elect to kick a field goal on 4th and goal from the 2, tied with Buffalo 2020 with just over 4 minutes remaining on Sunday.
Well, I felt like it gave us the best chance to win the game because 7, the worst that happens is if they go down the field and score, and I think we'll get them stopped. But if they go down the field and score a touchdown, the worst thing that can happen is that you're in overtime. But you kick a field goal there, now it's not a 3-down game anymore, it's a 4-down game. And you're putting them out there, you're putting your defense at a disadvantage because they've got 4 downs to convert all the way down the field. And a chance to, again, score 7, and then you lose the game on a touchdown. So, and then the other thing, you think you're going to get the ball at the 2-yard line. So I'm very confident in our defense's ability to stop them down there with the ball on the 2-yard line. So we got them backed up if we don't get it. Didn't turn out that way, unfortunately, and we lost the game. So hindsight, you could take the points. But if you look at it analytically, I understand why we did it.
Well said, Coach Harbaugh. Could you give Coach Holgorsen a call? And number 1, for the love of Chryst. On Sunday night, the University of Wisconsin announced it had fired head coach Paul Chryst during his 8th season on the job. Defensive coordinator Jim Leonard was named interim coach. Wisconsin was off to a 2-3 start to the campaign, including upset home losses to Washington State and Illinois. But did Wisconsin make the right decision in firing Chryst? He was 67-26 at Wisconsin, 43-18 in Big Ten play. Bo Pelini was 67-27 at Nebraska, 39-17 in conference. Jim Harbaugh, who started at Michigan the same year Chryst did at Wisconsin in 2015, 66-24, 44-17 in the Big Ten. And since 2015 at Iowa, Kirk Ferentz, 66-27, and 43-20 in Big Ten play. How about bowl records? Pelini and Ferentz 3-3, Harbaugh 1-5. Chryst was 6-1 in bowls, his only loss to the Justin Herbert-led Oregon Ducks in the Rose Bowl, in a game marred by an offensive pass interference against Wisconsin on a game-winning drive, a possible game-winning drive. Chryst record compares favorably to all three, but let's throw out the Harbaugh comparison. Chryst didn't make a playoff and doesn't have the NFL pedigree. Let's also draw a line through Polina. Nebraska's football expectations certainly exceed Wisconsin's.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.